Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Beaumont Weekly. In this episode, we're going to be continuing our building control visit and we're going to show you the solution for how we got around what could have been a 20 grand issue. We're going to do more site rounds with Kane in construction, and I'm going to explain to you right here on a whiteboard why we don't do buy-to-lets. So stay tuned, subscribe.
We are here again. As you can see, the externals have now had a facelift. We're swapping the carpets right at the last bit, which is annoying. Yeah, it's been a nice game this one. Managed to get a bit of effervescence off the brick. Blasted it to bits, to be honest. It's a new door. The existing windows, that's a new window. All the rest are existing, that we've just painted up, as you can see. They look fantastic. Come on, the boys. Floor fitters here. Yes. In the line. Right, just left that one in there. Ring jet, have a crack them, see if we can get the pair of hands over. We'll get the floor fitters to change swap that vinyl out. Then we'll move all the shit into there. Well, it's looking well, doesn't it? It's come together.
Alright, eventually.
20 weeks late because of this man. Sorry, I'm only taking the piss. Nasty that. So it's done here.
You did good.
I'll walk through. Pop your head in that one, see what's that meant to look like, but now all the carpets are getting swapped. Yeah, so we've got double fridge freezer here, breakfast bar area here. This is a nice communal area, vertical rad there. Over through here. Nice kitchen in. This one shop was cheaper, but it's exactly the same as another one I put in. But it's cheaper by 60 quid a piece. Howdens, I'm coming for you, fuckers. My glamorous assistant knocked up a savage email to you as we speak. Double rad. All the externals have now been flagged. Fall away to the back alley. All nice and tidy. Little babby back fence up. Tell you to go on the wall here. The communal area. Price is fixed, it was massive. But yeah, figures on this site. We've got 6 rooms, £600 a room, 43,200 a year. And that is going to produce, take on about 50% of that. So I say 22 rounded up. I know, a bit naughty. But only about 400 quid. So the investor will leave about 50k in this deal. End value is going to be 300. So he's all in for about 265. He'll leave 40k and he's going to pull out 225 on the refinance. 75% loan to value up to 300. You can either stick that on repayment or interest only. We'd advise interest only because the governments don't stop printing money. So they'll erode our debt position doing nothing. Brilliant. Yeah, so obviously of that 50k left in, the 22k, 50k divided by 22 works out to about 40% rocky return on capital employed. Obviously the yield itself on this, if the asset was unencumbered, would be about 15%, which is strong. Not getting that anywhere else. Not asset backed at least. It's all Fugazi. But that's us on this site. Sonny's now going to go do a walk around video for the investor. This is getting swapped. I've never seen this before. 2 bars in a kitchen in a straight run. It fucking begs belief sometimes. It honestly does. But, it's come together quite well towards the end. We've still got the dress sets to do. Like I say, the client is now elected for built-in wardrobes, which is a pain at this back end of the job, but how it is. Well, it should clarify this pre-contract, which would allow more fluidity on site. But as is life, things don't go as you want them to do. Historically, we don't like doing that. We've refused previously. But it's a valued and repeat client, so obviously if we want something, we will do it. Much to our begrudgment. But like I say, we are a financial product, not just a cash bang all up builder.
We are back! Got Fabs here, who's skimming rooms. All nice, all tidy. We are now on the top floor, which is great. Fabs has promised me that this full property is going to be plastered by the end of play today.
End of the day, lunchtime, that's it.
Lunchtime?
Yeah, be done by lunch.
Yeah, about an hour. About 10 walls put on in an hour, more than double the man of his calibre. Anyone in the game knows that's fucking impossible. No, but it's going well here. Good time on the top floor now, probably 3-4 more days up here, get that wiped out and let the plaster dry out. Bathrooms coming Friday, they can all be placed in situ. Danny, the lad who's looked after the drainage, will then jump onto the bathrooms, fit the bathrooms. Fabs will stay here, finish the plaster, and then everyone's getting shuttled over to another property around the corner. Fabs is then plastering that downstairs, down floor, up north, simple. Yeah, so Fabs will get shuttled over to another property. Look after the down floor. I've got some lads looking after the top floor on a bit of price, a bit more finicky downstairs. get it all looked after. But it's going well. Next week, the plan of action here, bathrooms extension goes up. Catch that as we start to fit out this. Set and fix electrics will then start happening in the back end of that week. Do a bit of painting around sockets and fixture areas so we can get them pegged back. Then the rest of the painting can ensue after that. Yeah, it's going well. As always, you'd like to be further ahead than what you are, but as is life, can't have it all. Obviously, if Fab stopped having these shit run marks down finished fucking walls and that, expecting a bite, I didn't get it. It's great, that's really. No, but it's going well. Stevie's here today, finishing off all the works in the isolation hatches, putting the manifold systems in and isolating valves. Come on, we'll have a look. We'll have a look in other rooms. We'll stand in one. Like you say, all nice bonded out, get all these skimmed. You're dropping it, are you working in here next day, Fabs?
Yeah.
What you do, just tidying them bits top up.
Yeah, well, I built these corners were all missing off there. I built them like this.
Fet living, son, fet the living.
That's the one, boy. Deacon's going to get just left the thing.
Yeah.
Fill over that crap.
Ah, it's tidy enough. Like I say, the other ones are giving away. This has been overboard already, skimmed at least.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it is, mate. Well, as you can tell, like we'll take a sensible view on what we need to do where. There's no point in doing something that we don't need to do, just to skimming it for the sake of skimming it. But yeah, it's going well. Bonding's done now. Skim it back in. Bathroom's here Friday. We'll push on.
Yeah, we're meeting building control because we're talking about it's 2 C3 flats that we're turning into 1 C3 house, and then exercising permitted development rights to convert it to a HMO. Nothing wrong with the HMO part, but converting it to the single house, building control picked us up and said it's a change of use, therefore it's subject to some of the change of use legislation like thermal upgrading, fire provisions and other shit like that.
If it was just mid-terrace, there's not that much more, so actually upgrading them probably won't make much of a difference. Upgrading this would make a huge
I mean, I reckon there's another fucking like 15, 20 grand's worth of work upgrading this building.
It's still there in the regs that if you could get someone to justify that the amount of money you're going to spend to upgrade it, you couldn't save in, I think, a 25-year period. So say it's going to cost 20 grand to upgrade it. In 25 years of heating this building, you're only going to save £18,000. They can justify you not having to do that.
So you need a SAP calc to do that.
But most of the SAP people we've been dealing with recently over that, they can't do that calc legitimately because the price of materials is all over the place. So where at one point you would say insulation was roughly X per metre squared, now it's like...
Oh, so it's less feasible now then, isn't it?
Well,
in theory, because it's more expensive.
That calc, so they can't justify...
I reckon I could.
Unless you can find someone who will do it. If we got a report to say it can't be justified, the 25-year period, I'd accept it.
Oh.
But...
I'll fucking take you out on a night out, son. You know what I mean? That's what I'll be doing.
An engineer, a thermal assessor who's been able to do that for a while because of the prices of everything.
But we stay away from the change of use aspects, then it never happens anyway.
The most cost efficient.
And that's just fundamentally fucking wrong, isn't it? Like, realistically, it is.
Yeah, to build more is unviable. And I don't know if you've seen recently, but there's a national assessment done of 60 different areas, 60 different regions of the UK for building semi-detached properties, no longer feasible due to over-regulation. So no one ever, no PLCs, no one can build semi-detached houses anymore.
Make profit.
And make a profit.
Yeah.
It's like because of regulation, because of shit like this. Because it's all ESG, it's all big banks just they're trying to wash money through the system, and they do it through these levers, and they use you guys and us guys as the people to hold the bag. Because 20 grand more to do this, the end user don't go give a shit. The same way they haven't given a shit for the last 50 years. They don't give a fuck. They just want affordable housing.
If this area's got, you need an escape window.
What about to keep the door?
No, but that's going to be a fucking just an extension. Fuck! That needs...
You could, in theory, have your escape window from the bathroom.
It's dog though, innit? It's fucking...
I
ain't fitting through it. You'll probably will,
but then if you're going to see it, it's going to have to be 1100, so that needs new.
So it's better for us to do it in the extension and build a new opening.
Depends if you're going to keep...
Where the toilet is.
Are you keeping these windows in terms of the glazing, like being obscure? I mean, you can't have mixed with it.
I'd just swap the glass, but the reality is, it's next to fuck all in there.
You might get a window.
So I need the shower that side. That's where the windows are going to have to go.
All right, so we just have to make this window bigger.
Oh, and just drop it. It's fucking 450, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Drop it, bigger unit in.
We're dropping that one, but the one that worries me is a fucking bay.
You don't need an escape window from here, because obviously it's just your opening.
Purely ventilation. That's not good enough for ventilation.
Them two combined is not 120 for this floor area.
But why is it 120? But like, if I open that, it's going to get fucking cold in here. Do you know what I mean?
This is what I think is the easiest thing to do. Just put another kitchen upstairs, and I'll show you where now. Do we need 2 points of escape for this top floor flat?
Well, you need to get access to refuse. Has to have a rear exit. So we're putting in new stairs, we're dropping that on straight out the back. Too much of a fuck on. It'd be much more cost effective for us to do what we're doing now and just continue, make these changes than it will to reverse it. And we'll lose a bedroom, so then it doesn't pay for itself.
We don't lose a bedroom.
Definitely will.
Done.
Definitely will.
We won't.
1, 2, 3, and then in that back section there, we need a bedroom and a kitchen and a staircase.
Son, I'll just show you.
All right, show me, and we'll see if
You
it
know
works.
what I mean? Very fucking
Go on,
easy.
show me.
Are you ready to be amazed? This is our new kitchen.
Please show me how this is going to work.
This is now bedroom en suite.
But it can't be because you need the stairs.
You don't need stairs in there.
Oh, for
Need
fuck's
stairs
sake.
from here. Pow. Isn't it? I'd get a metal staircase over that. Or a horrible windy one with shit tenant experience, John Paul.
Think of your local tenants, John Paul. Does that bother you if we did that?
No, as long as the stair complies with what it needs to, which is no reason why it wouldn't.
It's a bit fiddly getting out.
I mean, it'd probably have to end over there just because you've got the door down below here, haven't you?
Yeah.
But I mean, you could sting a platform out and start the stairs down.
Run down that way.
The roof.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
That is possible.
Pedantic southerner, that's what that looks like.
I just don't have your genius, mate.
Tickling my cock now, the fucking prick.
That works though.
It does.
That does work.
I know it does, that's why I said it.
What was this going to be then?
This was one room.
Fucking hell.
It was a mega suite. Look, you've robbed tenants in this area, John Paul.
We could share that platform. Yeah. That is significantly cheaper.
Yes, about 10 grand.
But then, because again, if this is the house that's a flat roof, I guarantee, apart from a little bit quilt, there's no insulation in this, so that you're not going to really be able to justify not doing something to this. Probably a warm deck, which means your roof covering, and I think the roof covering actually looks okay on that.
Yeah.
Ground level.
But if we keep it as 2 flats.
If it's too flat, we don't have to worry about it.
Mate, get your fucking stairs wanged in there.
I told
We save all this money.
I told you.
So if we do that, you're all good, we can just keep cracking on.
So we need some stairs.
And we'll save about 15, 20 grand. So you may have heard from the conversation so far, I don't know how much of this Jay's going to keep in it. Rather than convert this to a single dwelling, then change it to a HMO, whole point being we want to get 6 rooms out of it. Instead, and you would have heard through the litany of conversations we've just had how fucking stupid some of these regs are. It's not John Paul's fault at all. It's just the fucking government issuing bullshit stuff that makes house prices more expensive. Frustrating, but follow the Ground Up podcast and we talk about this stuff on a weekly basis. Shameless plug. But anyway, our plan now, this is the upper flat. Instead, this is going to become our kitchen diner. This was going to be a massive bedroom here through to there, bathroom at the back. Amazing offering for a tenant. But instead now, it's still a good bedroom in there. We'll put a door on there. This becomes kitchen diner, servicing the 4 bedrooms in this upper apartment. This turns into a door, and then we'll put in a metal stairs that will then sort of go left and then down to the ground over there. We need to change that window to make sure it's fire escape compliant. Other than that, everything else up here can stay the same. No other retrospective works required. And then downstairs, we just need to bang back in the opening that we've done at the bottom of the stairs, and that's it. And we don't have to fuck about the thermal boarding, don't have to change all of these fucking windows. Stupid regulations, stupid fucking regulations. I bang on about it all the time on the podcast and other things. Regulations are killing this country, killing the country. Because of having to meet regulation rather than meet quality, they can't afford to make good stock. And we're literally gonna ossify our fucking landscape with shit housing because of over-regulation, because it's all this ESG and woke and diversity and fucking save the planet, green people nonsense bollocks. It's all built on falsehoods and ESG targets, which is made by hedge funds and major banks to just screw the little guy. That's all it is. And your average Joe just ain't got a fucking clue, and it's not their fault, it's just the media's working in collusion with them to make it seem like these are pressing things we need to think about. The world's warming up, we're all gonna die. Like, it's bollocks. There's 20% more green space in the world now than there was fucking 10, 20, 30 years ago. The world's getting greener. CO2's a good thing. A warmer planet's a good thing. We survive better as humans in a warmer planet. So why are we then fucking ourselves in our housing market and fucking our economy as a consequence? To what? To save a few people who like ranting on the streets, stop oil and all that shit. It's just so stupid and bollocks, and it's got to stop. And this here is a perfect example of how that happens. This is a tiny, small little project, a little speck in the ocean of construction projects in the UK. And even this would have been about 20 grand hit just by opening up the bottom of the stairs. We open that up and we open a can of regulatory worms that even our building control officer, who you just heard admit on camera, doesn't even know the regs now. There's so many of them that he just can't reel off the regs and know them off the top of his head. It's just impossible. It's like reciting the whole encyclopedia. It's stupid. The country is ossifying itself. We're gonna fuck ourselves. I'm warning us, we're gonna fuck ourselves. Jeremy Brown! Setting up our camera stuff to film more content for the marketing funnel that you guys will never ever really see unless you click on the links below this video to check out our training material or our investor stuff. Shameless plug. But before that, so I'm about to shoot all this stuff here. We've got a nice little setup. You can see the little thingamajig. So I use that. And then I'm going to do, basically we're creating what's called a low ticket offer is what we're doing at the moment. I'm going to create a course, a mini course on our appraisal deck. So our Excel sheet, our sort of master deck that we use to analyze HMOs. We also have one that's much more sophisticated for commercials, residential schemes. This one's going to be about the HMO ones. I'm just showing people from scratch, what do you need to know to get these deals done, from purchase price to construction to the ad hoc fees, legal fees, bits and bobs like that, auto calculations you build into these Excel sheets. We then give the template to the student and then they can run their own analysis. It's all about that. Low ticket offer, 20 quid for the course at today's price. The idea being that we're then capturing people and buyer retention for the high level theory, which will help them in their due diligence. And they get our deck, which has taken us a few years to build and perfect over time. And then from that, if they're interested in more advanced learning, they can buy more of our services, either online training or in-person stuff, which we are getting ready to do in this office, where we'll host weekend workshops, academy stuff, bits and bobs like that. It's taken us time to fluff it out. We're taking it steady. We don't want to rush into this sort of shit. Just getting some more material together for that. But Sonny asked me a question the other night when me and him were watching The Big Short. Great film. If you didn't know, there's a film called The Big Short, Too Big to Fail, and Margin Call. And they are three really well-made films. Similar sort of styles as well, all about the 2008 financial crash and how it happened, mortgage-backed securities, subprime mortgages, all that sort of shit, and how effectively very greedy bankers screwed us all over. And then they all made loads more money off the back of it, and the rest of us got fucked. People like my dad got completely fucked in those scenarios, holding mortgages, shit like that. Bankrupt, bing, bang, boom, that happened to so many people. Bankers got super rich, blah, blah, blah. But that's a good film to watch. Anyway, we were watching that, and Sonny asked me, why do you do like HMOs and not buy-to-lets, and like what's the benefits and the upsides? And I was like, explaining it, and then Sonny was like, well, actually, there'd be a good little section for the vlog. So we're doing this in the vlog now at high level. Why do we focus on what I would call higher yielding strategies compared to, say, buy-to-lets? Nothing wrong with buy-to-lets if you know how to stack them up. So let's just look at buy-to-lets quickly. Buy-to-lets are great if, let's say, you want something super passive, super easy, you're making loads and loads of cash, and you just want to go park, say, 150 grand. So you might just park in that 150 grand into an asset, and let's say you buy it for 130, and then you put another 20 grand in the refurb, cosmetic upgrade, and then you might rent it out for, I don't know, 800 a month. Up in these sort of areas. So you're renting it for 800 a month, put 150 grand in, 800 a month, times by 12 months would equal 9,600. So 9,600 a year. So what is that as a yield? So you're taking 9,000, dividing it by the 150. Yeah, gonna need to calculate, so 2 seconds. 9,600 divided by 150, 1, 2, 3. That is, and then times by 100 is then a 6.4% yield. So you're getting a 6.4% gross yield on your money. That's cash as well. That's unencumbered. So you park 150 grand, you get a 6.4% return. Not bad. Like, it's all right, because that's only an initial rate of return just based on the income. There's also the appreciation, which if you sort of annualized over 5-10 years, you could probably bump that up to maybe 9%. And if you geared it up as well, let's not look at gearing yet, but that's probably like a 9% per year investment if you blend the rate of capital appreciation and income. And that is where, to me, buy-to-lets are still very good, but they work for people who are, and they have to buy them through a company, not free personal name, for people who are making shit tons of money, footballers, people in the city, people who've got loads of cash, people who are not bothered about taking on risk or borrowing or anything like that. They just want a secure portfolio that they can hedge and try and get 9% returns, better than base rate. There are some alternative investments you can get that may slightly beat this rate, but is it property? Is it backed by a scarce asset class? No, so I'd still say this is the best strategy. And this is a gross rate as well, by the way, gross rent, a gross yield. So there is also some OPEX that you have to think about as well, maintenance costs, management fees and things like that. But we're looking at our average numbers here, but over time, this could be a good strategy. And you could probably get away with, maybe 120 in this scenario as well, which would probably bump that yield to more like a 12% or a 13%. We find that most buy-to-lets we look at, if we were to do them that way, generally between about 12 to 14% if we were going to do that. That's one strategy. You could also gear up this asset. So once you've spent that 150 or that 120, you could then get a 75% mortgage against that. Obviously, if you did that against, say, a 150 mortgage, let's just make the numbers super easy. Let's say you then got that 150, and then, no, we'll keep the numbers the same actually, just to make life easier. Then you get a 75% mortgage against that, then that is going to give you 75 grand plus 37, 150, 1, 2, 3, divided by, times by 74%, 112, 5K back to go and buy another property. Then you've got a mortgage and interest rate against that number there. And if you're only making 9,600 a year, that mortgage there could be a few hundred quid a month. It could really eat into that cash flow. And in the sketchy times we've been in over the last few years, that interest rate that builds up each month, fuck it, let's find out. This wasn't meant to be a long section of the vlog, it was meant to do a high level, but I I wanted to explain why we don't do them as much. So 112 500 times by, let's go, standard buy-to-let mortgage at the moment, let's go 5.5%. You're then going to be paying 6 grand a year on your interest rates. That's an interest-only mortgage. If you're only making 9,600 and you've got management fees and other things to pay on top of that, you're starting to really squeeze it, and that's where buy-to-lets don't really work. So let's say you're paying 6K, and you've got, let's work it backwards. So you're getting 9,600 a year, and you're going to be paying management fees on that. Let's call that 10%. So you can minus 960 a year, and then you're going to have some arbitrary maintenance costs and other bits and bobs. Let's just round it at, say, 400 quid a year. Out on average, some years you might not pay much, some years you might replace a boiler. On average, let's call that, say, 400 quid a year. And then you got your sort of standard holding costs and other bits. Holding an SPV, you'll have accountancy fees, you'll have filing fees, you'll have other bits and bobs, insurance. So let's call that per year. I mean, insurance itself could be about 500. So that could be 500, depending on the asset itself. Maybe that's a bit harsh. Let's go 400 with that as well. 400 with that. And then let's say your accountancy fees and other bits. I mean, an accountant on a one SPV, that could be $1,000 in itself. And that includes filing. Let's say that's then your OPEX. So you're making 9,600 gross a year. Then you're taking off this amount here, which would be 1,800 plus 960. That would be 2,760. Thank you, guys. That'd be 2,740. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you. So let's say, so then take your 9,600 and then minus 2,740. Gonna get a calculator out? I mean, I could definitely do it. Then you're looking at 6,860 net after OPEX. So that's your operational costs. Then you got this fucking mortgage to contend with. And if you've got that mortgage there, that mortgage was about 6 grand a year. Take off 6K a year on interest payments. So yes, you are still exposing yourself. You're using leverage returns where you're exposing your smaller equity piece against a grosser asset amount, which is then leveraging your returns into the future. So you're getting the uplift, the capital value, but it's a bit squeaky bum time between how much net profit you've got to work with if there was, let's say, a 2 grand bill or the roof's fucked or something else. So this is where buy-to-lets have become a problem because they've been squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And people who own them in their personal name, well, this 6 grand amount here is no longer tax deductible because the government fucked everyone. And with interest rates the way they are at the moment, because at the moment we were calculating that off a 5.5% interest rate to get to this 6 grand figure here, that is what's been screwing people. When that was 2%, it was fine. You still got some wiggle room. That would be 3 grand. You can still be making, 250, 300 quid a month off your property. But now you're making like 50, 80 quid a month. So it's just no longer viable with buy-to-lets, but it still depends because that's on 150. You can still do it for say 100 all in or 120 all in. Then yeah, you might still make a couple hundred quid a year. So it really depends on where you're buying them, what your appetite is, if you need the mortgage because you want to keep moving capital or you've got loads of capital so you don't mind holding them as unencumbered assets. So buy-to-lets can work. It just depends on what you want to do. We want cash flow. That's why we like HMOs and apartment buildings. So HMOs, you compare it to that last one there. Yes, they're worth more than 150. They're worth say 300 when they're done. So the mortgage payment's still high, but we're not making 9,600 a year off of these. We're making a hell of a lot more than 9,600. So the property itself is worth double, so that you could assume the interest is double, about 12 grand a year. But the rental income, the gross rental income is like quadruple, triple, quadruple. You can make about 40, 45 grand, 40, 45K. But your management fees are higher. Your management fees and your utilities are higher because they're now on you, which is a percentage off of your gross amount. But however, it's negligible compared to the sheer disparity between a single occupant and 6 people who are renting those per room. Again, there's a lot more maths here, but I don't want to drag out this bit in the video for too long. I probably should have just done this as its own separate video, but anyway. And that's why we like HMOs because yes, your capital value is higher and you're paying on an absolute sum, you're paying more in interest payments, but you're getting nearly 4 times more in rental income. But yes, there's a caveat. You are then paying slightly more in management fees, about 5% more on the gross, and you're paying the utilities and everything else. But those utility costs and things like that, call it 12, 15%, something like that is what that's going to cost you. It's not pro rata. It's not like your margin's pro rata. Your margin can then be still about 16 to 18 grand net per year. And that's what, 1,000, 1,500 a month. So it's just not even comparable buy to let to HMOs. Your debt exposure is double, but you're inherently increasing the asset value. So it's way worth doing and you're quadrupling the income and you're making substantially more in absolute terms every month. So HMOs on a yield basis and on a generating income quick basis, because there's also a time aspect to think of as well, deploying capital, holding costs and holding opportunity costs and things like that. HMOs are just so much better, but also apartment blocks, apartment blocks, not single apartments, because you can get the benefit of economies of scale. That's the benefit. You're getting economies of scale with an apartment block compared to a single unit, and you're able to massively increase value and dilute your acquisition costs if you do it through a development. If you're just going to buy a ready-made apartment block, then yeah, your yield's going to be pretty measly. But if you can uplift, say, a commercial building, standard offices or something, you can then turn that into a nice spanking new apartment block, maybe with a new floor on it, and then inherently the pound per square foot's much more valuable for residential than it is for offices. So you get more rent per square foot as well. So you're increasing asset value. Then the business case and the underlying economics is to know how to do that, how to spend the right amount of money to make the right amount of POC, which is your profit on cost, that's GDC to GDV, to then arbitrage that margin, to then be able to leverage your equity capital, utilizing debt finance to get that larger gross asset exposure that you then hold for the long term with multiple revenue streams because it's an apartment scheme and better exposure to capital uplifts. So it's a more of a long-term game. Your yields are not going to be as high with this. Your immediate yields aren't going to be as high with this as they are with a HMO, but the long-term prospects for these, much steadier asset class, the exposure to equity appreciation is much higher, and ultimately just steadier tenants, lower hassle, lower OPEX in some ways. Your interest rates will still be quite high. You have to know what you're doing, but apartment blocks to me are the best solution, but you need a lot more capital, more risk appetite, more experience to get into them. Anyway, that's the comparison of the few. There simply is no right or wrong answer, but to put it simply, we could probably just cut out everything I've just said and make it super simple and go buy-to-lets, measly yields, riskier, but if you hold them unencumbered, you're fine. HMOs, higher yields, they're just the best strategy for producing cash flow. They're like buy-to-lets on steroids. You don't have so much of an issue on the net cash flow position because you've just got more cash per square foot, and that's why they work. Apartment blocks are more of a long-term play. You have to really know what you're doing because you're converting offices into apartments or whatever it is, more inherent risk. But the long-term prospects are steadier income, steadier asset growth, and ultimately the best strategy, but it takes quite a lot to get to that position. That's what I'd say about that. Hopefully this has been a useful, educational piece for the video. Thank you for watching. Now we're gonna film some other shit.
Bye.
So thank you for watching this episode this week. Appreciate you. And look, have a look at this. We have nearly finished off this room. This is a temporary table. It's actually gonna go in the kitchen. We've got a big boardroom table coming, but it's a 40-day wait time. We banged that on the wall. Not entirely sure what to make of it. See what you think. Let us know in the comments if you like it or not. Either way, big love. Thank you for watching. See you next week.